Hey Nubatama family, it's Tom coming at you. Nubatama Third Eye, Facebook, Zero to Pass, YouTube. Yeah, I was just noticing something kind of interesting about premium decks that seem to be doing really well as compared to where I've kind of gotten myself with regards to my standard deck, and just wanted to kind of show and compare how to either go from standard to premium or vice versa. So it's just a shout out to Ouroboros. These guys have been sitting in a box, not being used for quite a long time. So let's start with my standard deck. I've shown this before. This is my standard deck from Chicago, when I played at Chicago. I got 4 Crow, 4 Kuchir Congo, 2 Magetsu Storm as a finisher for grade 2s. I have Gale, Tsunomasa, and then 2 Dam Breach teched in there. Grade 1s, 2 of the promo that allows a grade 3 to get around PG. 3 Cart, 3 Dread, and 3 Sakura Fubuki. 2 Hagakure. 4 Heal. 5 Critical. And then 7 Draw. So that's my standard deck. What I've been doing, tweaking around with things, I tried the 8 grade 2 build that I got off of Freedom Duelist of I believe it was a shop tournament the guy did well at. It runs pretty well. I rarely ever brick. This card has gone in and out of my deck. I do like it. I want to give it more try. And I think I'll be doing that this weekend coming up. And this worked pretty well for me. Definitely as a finisher. Now, going from standard to premium, he's going to be great defensively. Offensively, not so much, unless you get really lucky, use Tsunomasa, throw one of your grade 3s into Soul. And then on your first G3 ride, if you're going first, and he happens to be it, then sure, you can get those 5 attacks off potentially. But otherwise, this will be really good for kind of mid to late game defense in premium. So, with that said, how do you get from this to premium? Well, if you look at all these turbo decks, which actually started with a deck out of Japan, I forget, 4 or 5 months ago. Lots of draws were being used. So I already have a lot of draws on my standard build. So if you're going from standard to premium or vice versa, you're going to keep this relatively the same. A few things that you can do is you could tech in one of her, which is not a bad idea. And then you could consider teching in some of him, 2 to 3 maybe, is what I would recommend. These are really great options. I wouldn't go down on the number of draws. I know some people are running up to like 9. If it's working for them, great. I don't have problems running 7 over here, although I only have access to 8. But as you can see, I'm not running 8, I'm running 7, and it works pretty well. So those are 2 changes you can make. I wouldn't really change much of anything else. So maybe 1 of that. You could do 2 and 2 if you want. 3 of this. It's up to you how you want to do that. let me see here, just to be complete. Swimming in Nubatama cards over here. So you're gonna lose some power here by replacing V-era triggers with these, 2 to 5 depending. And your mileage may vary on this, so just be careful. We definitely want to keep the number of 10K drive checks as high as possible. For our grade 1s, let's get Hagakure in here first. Hagakure is something that you could change out, so that's a tech slot. Here's a grade 1s. I believe this card here says grade 3 unit attacks, so I already took that out. Here. We're going to put in a couple stride fodder. Okay. So I already took that out. A tech slot here that is different than some of those other decks that you see is Cart. So I think we already know what Cart could come out for. Him. So, and again, it's up to you. If you want to push for huge numbers, then you may want to keep Cart in. It's an option. So there's that. And then grade 2s. Kind of running out of room here, but it's okay. Dan Breach. Dan Breach is not going to be very relevant once you start striding. And you can probably all guess what that's going to be. Ungai. Okay. And then grade 3s. Okay. I know that there are others who run, where is it here? Voidmaster in place of him. You can do that. You don't have to. I don't think it's necessary, but it's something to consider. So, as you can see, the standard deck that I built for the Bushiroad tournament in Chicago, there really aren't that many changes that happen when you go over to premium. Very simple changes. So this is going to be for Dominate. This is going to be for Dominate. This is going to be for getting even more countercharging going on. This guy helps in a number of ways, keep interceptors at bay, and allows you to pop cards back to hand if you need to. Hagakure is a tech slot. I did see someone on our Facebook page running him in a premium build. I think that's really cool. Other options that we have, things that I've been playing around with, Shiranui, I really like him. I was running him with a build that uses Tamahagane with Kamuji Gusa. It's okay. I didn't have too much problem with it. Kind of enjoyed it. I'm not sure it's going to be necessarily as fast as Kujigiri Kongo can be, but Kujigiri Kongo, the problem with him, and I've said it before, once you're past your first ride with him, if you didn't go first, you're never using this ability unless you're bricking. So he allows you to just have your opponent discard a card as an act when you're on grade 3. Shiranui, he does that as you stride. So, one of the things you can consider doing is teching Shiranui in for Storm. I know other people have been playing with Zonky. Zonky is also another option here. I think this is a faster option. But again, this is dominating. So you're able to get that extra attack off. You're able to get a card out of your opponent's hand. So while this is forcing discard and forcing your opponent to lose something on the field, at least for that turn, this guy does potentially force more cards out of hand more efficiently. It's just kind of a half turn behind, if you will. So Zonky is an option as well. So Old Shiranui, Zonky, those are two options there. You do have a few stride fodder in here, so you can go search for a Shiranui, right? So that's something that you can think about. Other options, if you want to take out Hagakure, you can consider putting in more Ungai. This card is phenomenal. You could consider putting in one more stride fodder. Heck, you could even consider putting in one more frog. And you can even go up on your number of Dreadmaster and or Sakura Fubuki. So those are all options for this tech slot here. Let's see, anything else that I'd like to share here? Regarding Dreadmaster, so back in the day when we had problems with countercharging, which is really not a problem these days, old Dreadmaster, it was good, but it caused problems because of the countercharge. Now that we have so much countercharge, this actually forces early discard issues. Your opponent is going to lose a card from hand. They at least have to guard or lose a card. So it really is pressuring a card out of their hand either way. Dreadmaster V era does cause your opponent to lose a card from field and then be able to discard. This card, it's not that it's necessarily better because new Dreadmaster, V era Dreadmaster allows you to filter, which is actually pretty good for us. We have filter in the likes of Ungai. We have an after image guy that also filters for us, which of course is not going to be in this build. But that's an important effect that we can't overlook. However, Dreadmaster is going to work no matter what you're on. This is going to work on your first attack, you know, your first turn where you're able to attack. So Dreadmaster is a card that I still look at highly in terms of an option for adding in here. I've looked at, again, I looked at Tamahagane. I've been playing the deck. I've been playing around with it. I think it's pretty good. I'm not sold on it being faster, but it still is pretty good. A few other cards that we can think about. Fuki's pretty good. This really helps with a hand hate setup. Again, it's bind, so they're going to get the card back. Miyabi, they're going to get the card back in their hand. Tamahagane with field control, again, they're going to get the card back in hand. Kamojigusa does help with that, helps mitigate that, but again, it takes slots. Could be Hagakure. That's actually what I took out for putting this in when I was playing the Tamahagane variant with the old Shiranui. So those are things that you can think of. Other cards, important to consider. Sadatsuga. Sadatsuga is definitely going to help you remove cards from the field after you dominate, allowing KFC to be potentially just one more card stronger in that sense, because your opponent's going to put 2 cards in the field. If that's the only 2 cards they had in the field, you use this to pop one. Your opponent's now going to be losing 4 cards that are in their hand, plus while popping the 1 back, instead of losing just 3 from hand plus popping 2 back up. So very good card, helps replete your hand, as well as help push with KFC just a little bit. So didn't want to leave him out. I know a lot of people run him at 2 or 3. It's not a bad idea. Let's see here. Higanguma. Higanguma is a tech choice with Storm. If you're going to run a Storm build, someone to consider running is Higanguma. He is limited to if your opponent has 4 or more cards. So if you're really pressuring them and they're down to just, 2 or 3 cards, this doesn't work. But at that point, you're probably not needing this. So G-Zone. G-Zone is pretty standard. I run Gatsudokron. A lot of people run Kingo Gutenbu. 2 Megan Tembu is important for early game as well. Rene, definitely run 4 of Rene. Makuro, board wipe, really good against Excel, as has been pointed out by other YouTubers as well, as myself before. Sukamorican play with KFC can be very deadly. This card is very good if you want to run more on the lines of things like Fuki and Old Shiranui and or Miyabi. GB8, absolutely. Good late game pressuring card if you need it. Drachma, is Drachma good? Yeah, Drachma's good. I'm not sure Drachma's ever been bad, so Drachma, definitely. I like our Dominate G-Guard because it allows me to pop cards out of my opponent's field, which can then help with KFC plays later on. We have the resource management now to afford the Soul Blast Counterblast. So I currently have it at 2. I could put in a Gleam, the drop draw. I know there's Rack Tome as well, but I tend to be biased towards the Gleam. I really like the art. Gendo Kurokon, I currently have this at 1. I've had it at 2 before. But I've decided to go back up to 2 Zashikihime. This does really pressure your opponent's card as well with regards to power plays later on in the game. So, yeah. Some other G-Zone cards you can consider. I've had Gorakan in there, but I haven't really used him. He is a valid potential target, or I should say a potential option for you in terms of tweaking out your G-Zone. A Tagalord is going to be really good in the Oji Nui Miyabi Fuki build, and it does give you a crit. So Renee's currently the only card that's going to be giving an added crit on attacks. However, this is a really good card to consider, especially as I was saying, if you go for the technical booster Reckless Rampage cards. It's going to be really helpful for you. So, yeah, I hope that helps. I had noticed that this was very similar overall to what I'm seeing in Premium. In Premium, we're definitely like way up there on the food chain in terms of how well we can perform. I've been spending a lot of my time as a Nubatama player trying to figure this part of it out, because I find this has been more of a puzzle to figure out. The fact that we have Rene really has made Nubatama be able to compete at top tables. It is not OP, it does not break us, but it does allow us to compete. And I'm very grateful to Bushiro that they gave us that, even though it was near the end of G-Era. We now have it for Premium. So, finding this puzzle out, whatever you guys are working on, I'd love to see your decks, love to see your posts, would love to see your comments. This is a really exciting working on this, seeing this perform well, figuring out tempoing with this deck. Right now, in terms of this, I'm really trying to figure out, do I really want to have Voidmaster in here? Do I want to lose Hagakure? I had Voidmaster Tech in here for the 13 G3 build, the Freedom Duo builds 15 grade 3s. I decided to just keep it at 13, and it works pretty well. I do like it. You can get in trouble in the fact that you get the Morikawa effect with just way too many grade 3s. It's really beneficial though with Tsunomasa, because Tsunomasa is more likely to throw a grade 3 into Soul for his ability. So there is that said. Again, I was running 8 grade 2s, really not having a problem with it. But again, it's just something that requires probably a little bit more playtesting, and I honestly feel safer with these ratios. What do I got here? 11, 10. Yeah, I feel a lot better with that. I do like just a little bit higher amount of draw. I did try 6/6 for crit draw. I prefer the 7. It feels bad when I have to discard a 15k shield to Dreadmaster to filter. It feels a lot better when it's only 5. I know that's kind of funny, justification, but it does. It feels a lot better discarding something with less shield. So, Over here, I'm going to be trying this out. I've really been trying to play with other pieces of this puzzle, the old Shiranui, which, you know, I may take him in just because of what I was talking about, but I'm going to really try a build out that's more like this and see how I like it. So I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you have a lot of card fight going on in your life. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.